Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Swami Samarth Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Gurudev Datta, Shri Trambakeshwar Maharaj Ki Jai. Ganga Godavari Mata Ki Jai. Sadguru Param Puja More Dadam Ki Jai. Shri Swami Samarth Guru Maulin Ki Jai. Bharat Mata Ki Jai. Shri Swami Samarth.
Shree Swami Samarth, all Balsevikaris. Just now, what we did was called Guru Vandana. Before we start anything, we pray to our Guru. What does the Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu Shlok mean? As we know, Lord Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh are Holy Trinity. Means those are the three main gods. Guru is Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh all together. Lord Dattatreya is embodiment of all three gods, Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. You can see the picture of Lord Dattatreya on the screen. Lord Dattatreya took 3 avatars. The third avatar is Shri Swami Samarth Maharaj. You can see the picture of Shri Swami Samarth Maharaj on the screen. Shri Swami Samarth Maharaj is our Guru. Guru means the one who guides us and teaches us. The importance of Guru is even bigger than a God. Because unless the Guru tells us about the God, we won't know about the God. That's why we will pray to our Guru, Shri Swami Samarth Maharaj, first by reading Shri Swami Stavan and chanting Shri Swami Samartha. In Swami Stavan, we will be requesting Swami Maharaj to help us be a good human being. How can we be a good human being? We can be a good human being by helping others, not being jealous of others, respecting and listening to our parents, being honest. This way we can be a good human being. We will be asking Sri Swami Samarth Maharaj for blessings to be a good human being. After Sri Swami Stavan and Sri Swami Samartha chanting, we will listen to and read stories of Sri Swami Samartha Maharaj. So now, let's start reading.
Shri Swami Samartha, Shri Swami Stavan. Prayer Shri Ganesha, Prayer Shri Saraswati, Prayer Preceptor Guru, Prayer Family Goddess, O Akhil inhabitant, three-faced, Shri Datta incarnate, 10 directions wearer, O Sage King, Swami Raj, prayer to you. Hymn. O Supreme Bliss, Supreme Happiness, only one knowledge being, beyond duality, sky infinite, Veda is sense, symbols alike, only one, eternal mountain of purity, O all witnessing, beyond expression and vices. 3. O Sadguru, prayer to you. Om. O sandal-bodied, sandal-colored, lotus-eyed, ever-cheerful rag-cap rosary wearer, mace water-pot holder, hands on waist. O protector beyond vices, 3 benefactor of world, 3 lord of universe, O benevolent, O Kali Yuga incarnation of Sri Swami Samartha, I realize you thus. Now say prayer. Glory to you, O sin destroyer, O supreme divine liberator. O Supreme Bliss, Sage King, glory to you. O Puran, Lord, Preserver, Supreme Ruler, O Lord of infinite universes, Veda glorified world preceptor, O inhabitant of supreme bliss, O all-witnessing mercy abode. For uplifting devotees, you've appeared variously. You fire, air, you are. You sky, life, you are. You Mother Earth, Moon, Sun, you are. You Vishnu and Shankar, you Creator and Indra. O eight directions ruler, you've taken many forms. Doer and inspiration of doer, you offering as also sacred fire. You giver, inspiration of giver, you truly the most able Samartha. Movable and immovable, you are spread all over. Your beginning, mind, end is to be found nowhere. Despite being formless, you've taken many forms. You are both knowledge and knower, O Lord of universes, you beyond Veda logic, as also beyond sciences. Even Vishnu, Shankar, others stuck while describing you. Me certainly slow-witted, what praise can I offer? 1,000 months tire for sure, while narrating your greatness, with my head firmly at your feet, protect me, O Samartha. O Lord of poor, please cast blissful grace on this servant of yours. Now please grant, O Samartha, this much prayer as such. In the ocean of your bliss, forever shelter for this fish. Let sin severing poverty, all perish at once. Grant happiness here, and take care of life hereafter. Tough to sail life ocean, and to sail to the other side certain. I need raft of your name. Please grant me the same. Hope, longing, desire, lust, and imagery, delusions of various kind, afflict me not by your grace. How much to describe your virtues, please grant me resources, happiness. Remove darkness of ignorance, invoking a sense of wisdom in my heart. Let mind be at peace always, and there be no misplaced pride. May I always be satisfied by your grace. O Swami Samartha, let all my sufferings perish, and mine sing your praise always. Let this mind not at all harbor desire for futile subjects whatever. Let me be among holy saints always, and sing your praise best. That will truly make easy so difficult this life journey. Swami Samartha Mala. Shree Swami Samartha, 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 Shree Swami Samartha. Shree Swami Samartha. Simplified short story of Shree Swami Charitra Saramrut. Chapter 16. Prayers to Shree Ganesha. Shree Swami Samartha Maharaj is indeed Lord Dattatreya, who resides in Akhil and in the heart of all his devotees. In this chapter, we will learn about the life story of one of Swami Maharaj's greatest devotees, who is affectionately called Swami Sutta, which means son of Swami Maharaj. His actual name was Haribal. Haribal was native of a small town named Itya in Konkan region of Maharashtra, where his mother and brother lived. He belonged to a wealthy family, but even then, he was living in Mumbai for a job. Haribal had a friend who was a trader, whose last name was Pandit. Once, Pandit incurred losses in his business and vowed to Shree Swami Samartha Maharaj that if his losses were recovered in 8 days, he would promptly visit Akhil to see him. Meanwhile, Haribal and his other friend Gajanan also feared possible losses in their business of opium. They approached Pandit for help, and Pandit also informed them that he was about to go bankrupt. Pandit assured Haribal and Gajanan that he could stand as their guarantor and write a letter of surety to their money lender. Soon, the market value of opium rose, and the money lender excitedly shared the news of profit with Pandit. Realizing this as the immense grace of Sri Swami Samartha Maharaj, the three friends Gajanan, Haribal, and Pandit all went to Akhil to seek Swami Maharaj's blessings and worshipped him. Swami Maharaj accepted them as his disciples and affectionately renamed Pandit as Ram, Gajanan as Shiva, and Haribal as Maruti, and graced all three of them by giving them 3 mantras respectively. In spiritual practice, after giving initiation by giving a mantra to a new disciple, Guru renames the disciple with some spiritual name. It is like the rebirth of the disciples spiritually. All three of them were extremely delighted and expressed their willingness to offer some donation at the lotus feet of Swami Maharaj. Maharaj instructed them to make his holy paduka, holy footwear, with that amount. Accordingly, all three friends offered paduka at Swami Maharaj's lotus feet. Swami Maharaj wore those paduka for 14 days in a row. Haribau's mind was completely taken over by the thoughts of Swami Maharaj. One day, Haribau came to Swami Maharaj, and seeing his intense devotion, Swami Maharaj said that, "Now you are my son," and instructed him to live an ascetic life. Haribau, now Swami Sutta, returned to Mumbai. He established a monastery in Kamatipura, a suburb of Mumbai. He consecrated Shree Swami Samartha Maharaj's paduka in the monastery and started living an ascetic life. The lesson from the story was that Shree Swami Samartha Maharaj makes sure that even through difficulties, his devotees reach him and find the right path to live. Sometimes, even if there is a problem, it's just an opportunity for something much bigger. Just like Swami Sutta got into the problem initially, but working towards solving the problem eventually ended up with the opportunity to be Swami Sutta, which means son of Swami Maharaj. One should always consider the problems as an opportunity to remember Swami Maharaj and take up the troubles as a divine play of Swami Maharaj. Shree Swami Samartha. Shree Swami Samartha. Shree Swami Charitra Saramrut. Chapter 16. Prayer Shree Ganesha for upliftment of devotees. Bhagavan Dattatreya as ascetic appeared on earth and lived on Akhil. Among those Swami devotees, Swami Sut was superior. Listening to his life sketch frees one from great sins. In Mumbai city famous, Haribau person well known, worked as employee, led life happily. A Maratha by caste, Haribau hailed. From place called Itiya in Konkan's Rajapur area, a family of village officers, they were traditionally prosperous. In same village, his mother and brothers lived. A friend of his in Mumbai, Brahmin by name Pandit, who did some business but ran into losses. One day as such, Pandit learnt about Swami Raj, and with intense faith expressed a vow at Swami feet. If within 8 days I get rid of debt, I shall come to Akhil and visit you urgently. Haribau and his friend Gajanan traded on opium, but were quite certain would run into losses, hence thought an idea and called Pandit over, told him details, asking what to do next. To make up for this loss, we have no money. If complaint is made, we'll lose reputation. To this Pandit said, have also run some debt. There is no doubt we too have gone bankrupt. For your debt, let's do this. I stand guarantor to give letter to your moneylender. Opium prices soared. Profits were booked. Excited moneylender rushed to break news to Pandit thus. At the time in Akhil lived Shree Swami Samartha, its only Swami's grace. Now we have no debt to face. Gajanan, Haribau, Pandit thus went Shaya to Akhil, visited Shree Swami Raj, performed worship devotionally. At the time, Shree Swami Samartha called trio Shiv Ram Maruti, also gave them mantras. Along with these names, Swami called Pandit Ram, gave Shiva name to Gajanan, called Haribau Maruti, thus uniting the triad. Then Shree Swami Samartha called the trio over, gave them 3 hymns. Please listen to those mantras. Hymn. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Haribau's joy knew no bounds. As Shree Swami Samartha gave him the mantra, Gajanan was also extremely happy thus, as Shree Swami Samarth gave him second mantra, hymn, Akashat patitam toyam yata gacchati sagaram sarvadeva namaskara keshavam pratikachati. As Gajanan was satisfied, Swami took Pandit by side and uttered a mantra to sanctify him thus, hymn, Idamev Shivam, Idamev Shivam, Idamev Shivam, Idamev Shivaha. 300 rupees they had brought from Mumbai. What to do with it, they asked Samartha. Hearing the question, Samartha said to them, Make holy patens and get here at once. On one occasion, as some days passed, Charitra stood with folded hands, sought Swami not to leave. After getting the nod, came to Mumbai happily. But Haribau's mind always lingered for Swami feet. As an own body part, Swami wore those holy sandals. For 14 days in a row, gave them to nobody. One day as such, Haribau came to Swami Raj and saw Swami feet, lowering head on them. Then Shree Swami Raj took Haribau on his lap, kept hand on his head to bless him at once. You have become my own son certain. Now wear saffron robes, give up family life. Saffron robes, alms bag, Samartha gave him all. Haribau took them, wore all at once. Own holy patens gave Haribau and said, Go to the seashore now, build a fort, live accordingly. Now go back at once, relinquish family life, not an iota of greed or lure should your mind hold for sure. Hearing this command, Haribau's joy knew no bounds. He reached Mumbai just like an ascetic. Haribau did this next, called in priests, and resolved to give up home hearth for good. As Haribau gave away all belongings, his wife named Tara raised much hue and cry, began pounding chest with folded hands. I urge you, please be at peace anyhow, and instantly shun now this talk of yours, O beloved. After hearing over her answers as such, Swami Sut tried in vain to convince her in many ways. Swami Sut also gave away all ornaments she wore, and gave her a white sari to wear. With his own hands, in a monastery thus installed holy patens that Swami had given him. At Kamatipura, at that time, Swami Sut started monastery. Having become an ascetic, began living therein. Thus ends the 16th sweet chapter of this brief biography, Shree Swami Charitra Saramrut, that contains several short stories that affectionate devotees may listen attentively. May the auspicious always occur. Shree Swami Samartha. Shree Swami Samartha. Simplified short story of Shree Swami Charitra Saramrut, Chapter 17. Prayers to Sri Ganesha. As told beautifully in the last chapter, Swami Sutta had set up a monastery in the city of Mumbai and devoted all his life in the service of Sri Swami Samartha Maharaj. Swami Sutta immersed himself in chanting, praising, and worshipping Swami Maharaj, and forgot every other job. His mother Kakubai was upset hearing what he was up to. She thought something mysterious had taken over Swami Sutta, or someone had cast a spell on him. Swami Sutta tried to pacify her, but nothing helped. Kakubai consulted a learned and reputed person named Dev Mamledar and asked for his advice. Shri Dev Mamledar said there wasn't any solution to this, and indirectly suggested to leave Swami Sutta as there wasn't any solution to this. Kakubai was pained to hear this and came to Akhil in search of the solution. Meanwhile, in Mumbai, Swami Sutta continued to spread the legacy of Swami Maharaj in Mumbai. Swami Sutta counseled many Hindus and Parsis who eventually became Swami Maharaj's devotees. Despite all the problems he incurred, Swami Sutta kept his mind stable and focused only on performing Swami Maharaj's services. In 1792, he started the tradition of celebrating Sri Swami Jayanti, the day Swami Maharaj appeared in Mumbai. One of the devotees from Mumbai, Nana Joshi, had crafted Swami Maharaj's horoscope and came to Akhil to offer it at the lotus feet of Swami Maharaj. Swami Maharaj felt immensely happy to see Nana Joshi's devotion. In 1793, Swami Sutta celebrated Swami Maharaj's Jayanti in Akhil for the first time. All these celebrations were nothing but Swami Maharaj's wonders, who wanted the world to know where he came from. Swami Maharaj first appeared in the small town of Cheli in the Punjab province of ancient India. Swami Maharaj loved Swami Sutta dearly. Because of Swami Sutta's enormous devotion, Swami Maharaj used to direct to his devotees to go to Swami Sutta for any solution or guidance they needed. Swami Maharaj guided them through Swami Sutta's gestures. Once, it so happened that Swami Sutta came to Akhil from Mumbai to see Swami Maharaj. He fasted for 3 whole days and stood in front of the king's palace singing words of praise for Swami Maharaj. When the queen heard these beautiful words of praise, she requested Swami Sutta to come inside the palace. As soon as Swami Sutta saw his beloved Sadguru, Shree Swami Samarth Maharaj, he rushed and held Swami Maharaj's feet. Swami Maharaj was also equally delighted to see Swami Sutta. One day, Swami Sutta was singing bhajan, poetic praise of Swami Maharaj, and after a while, when everybody had left, Swami Maharaj called Swami Sutta near him and whispered in his ears, "I will be leaving to my abode. Continue the tradition." Hearing Swami Maharaj's words, Swami Sutta became speechless in despair. He thought of life as meaningless without Swami Maharaj's presence. He repeatedly requested Swami Maharaj not to leave him, because a mother never leaves her children. Swami Maharaj compassionately hugged Swami Sutta and convinced him that he would be there in Swami Sutta's heart forever. But Swami Maharaj's words were not enough to convince Swami Sutta. He returned to Mumbai heartbroken, and the feeling of life without Swami Maharaj pained him very much. He became sick day by day. When Kakubai heard that Swami Sutta wasn't doing well, she requested Swami Maharaj to send someone to get Swami Sutta to Akhil. Sri Swami Samarth Maharaj sent his devotees to Mumbai, but Swami Sutta denied coming to Akhil. He became weaker and weaker day by day, but did not move a bit. Then Sri Swami Samarth Maharaj sent a strong command to Swami Sutta to return to Akhil. But Swami Sutta was adamant and took his last breath very soon. Since Swami Maharaj is the Almighty, the same moment he came to know that Swami Sutta was no more. Swami Maharaj did not have any food that day and wept continuously. Kakubai, who was in Akhil, received the news of her son's sad demise and left for Akhil. Upon her return, she asked Swami Maharaj as to why Swami Sutta died untimely, despite being his devotee. Swami Maharaj answered her, "My powers are greater than that of time. But unfortunately, Swami Sutta wasn't able to follow my orders. Even though Swami Sutta left this world, with grace of Swami Maharaj, his legacy still remains." The lesson from the story was that Swami Maharaj loved all his devotees very dearly. When a devotee is immensely passionate about Swami Seva, the devotee's life and work becomes divine itself. Shree Swami Samartha. Shree Swami Samartha. Shree Swami Charitra Saramrut. Chapter 17. Prayer Shri Ganesha. Beautiful story in preceding chapter. In Mumbai city famous, arrived Swami Suttas. Set up Swami cloister. Sang Swami praise. Narrated Swami plays. Swami Sut now knew no other business. Her grief knew no end. When Swami Sutta's mother, by name Kakuboy, learned this matter, mother's grief thus broke Swami Sutta's heart, lovingly held her close, tried to console her. In various ways, Swami Sut told stories about supreme truth and tried to cajole her. explaining in sweet words, has ghost seized him or somebody cast a spell? Must refer almanac now. Son must be cured somehow. At the time lived a well-known great by name Yeshwantrao Bozekar, whom people all around called Dev Mamledar. With this thought in mind, Kakubai reached early morning, told Mamledar every little detail about Swami Sut. Hearing her say, smilingly said Mamledar, "A great ghost has seized him. I can't remove it." When she heard it, the answer broke her heart. Swami Suta's mother then reached Akkalkot. Meanwhile, Swami Sut lived on in Mumbai, where his council turned Hindu Parsi Swami devotees. Monastery was in Kamatipura, but area wasn't spacious. A female devotee then gave land in Kandiwadi. His wife named Tara also harassed Swami Sut, but his mind had no regret at all. First in Mumbai city, in Shaka 1792, on 13th dark day of Falgun, Sutta celebrated Swami birth. Once upon a time, Nana Joshi from Nagar town happened to visit Mumbai and learned this development. After seeing Swami Sut, Nana was ecstatic, fondly bowed at feet, showered praise liberally. Then into Swami devotion, Swami Sut ushered him. Nana got blessed thus, immersed self in Swami praise. Later on, Nana Joshi prepared Swami's horoscope, and to lay at Swami feet, arrived in Akkalkot. As chart was offered, Swami was extremely pleased, and ordered him thus to play drums merrily. As Joshi played the drum, Samarth laughed heartily, was extremely happy to see own devotee. Thus, in Akkalkot city, in Shaka 1793, Swami Sut first celebrated Swami birth delightedly. In Cheli village, Swami first appeared and played marbles with devotee named Vijay Singh. Day by day, Swami Sut served Swami increasingly, ushered many into devotion, raising flag of Swami fame. With desires in mind, when people visited Swami kind, Swamis would ask them to go to Swami Sut. Swami Sut would also read out their mind. People thus surprised. Spread his fame further, one of those days, Swami Sut visited Akkalkot. At the time, Swami Raj lived in palace happily, without Swami Darshan, ate neither water nor food. 3 days passed thus, but continued to remain on fast. Then went in front of palace, began singing sweet praise, full of compassion. It caught Queen's attention. Queen asked aides, "Go right away, request the sage and bring here at once." Seeing Sri Swami Samartha, Swami Sut was delighted. He rushed ahead, holding fondly Swami feet. Seeing own son, Samartha was very happy, ran hands over Suta's face, lifted him with own hands. At the time in Akkalkot, there were devotees many, but Swami's love was truly for Sutta. Day and night, Swami Sut sang praise in Swami front. With holy sandals on, danced in devotion. One day Sri Swami Samartha sat merrily as such. When Swami Sut began praise, wearing holy pattens on, picking the moment of solitude, Samartha whispered in his ears. He intended to return to his own abode, should continue his heritage. Hearing the words from Swami, became speechless Swami Sut. Could not tolerate the idea to live without Swami. Time and again entreated to Swami, should shun such things, Sutta being innocent taught. And Swami being his mother, clasped Swami to his heart, said he will remain in his very heart, would dwell there definitely, should not make any worry. Swami Sut then at once left there, coming to outskirts, set out for Mumbai, hurt by Swami's words. Dejected to core, he did not return to Akkalkot ever. Because of this grief, Swami Sut grew weak, grieved day and night, lost peace of mind. Disease struck him thus. Swami Sut fell ill. This development soon Swami learned in Akkalkot. Swami Suta's mother lived in Akkalkot. When she learnt this, requested Swami Raj thus. At the time, Samarth sent devotees to Mumbai, said, "Go and bring Suta here at once." But along with them, Suta did not return. Humiliation hurt him. Through day and night, then said Samarth, "Somebody go there, put him in a box and get here at once." But Swami Sut as such did not come to Akkalkot, grew even weaker. Day after day, at last said Samarth, "If he doesn't return, shall fire the cannon that's lying ready." Meaning was clear. Suta got it better, still did not return, caring little for life. As illness increased much, left for heavenly abode. On Shravan's bright day one, leaving all grieving. That day in Akkalkot, Samarth did things weird. After ritual bath, refused to accept sandal smear. Swami refused to eat, threw himself on floor, spoke to none, and grieved all the time. Suddenly at the time, telegraph from Mumbai broke this news. Swami Sut is no more. Soon thereafter, Kakubai reached Mumbai and learnt the news. Son was no more. Hearing about son's death, Kakubai grieved a lot. It hurts a lot to describe that sad incident. Immediately Kakubai rushed back at once and reached Akkalkot to ask Samarth thus, "Despite being your devotee, how did Suta die untimely? Then how will those be protected, those who worship your lotus feet?" Samarth told her, "He disobeyed my order. Death seized chance, took away by force. Great Swami's son. Scaled difficult life ocean, his frame sped all over. Name became immortal." Thus ends the 17th sweet chapter of this brief biography, Shree Swami Charitra Saramrut, that contains several short stories that affectionate devotees may listen attentively. Thus offered at the lotus feet of Sri Bhagwan. May the auspicious always occur. Shree Swami Samartha. Shree Swami Samartha. Simplified short story of Shree Swami Charitra Saramrut. Chapter 18. Prayers to Sri Ganesha. After Swami Suta passed away, devotees of Sri Swami Samartha Maharaj were concerned as to who would responsibly carry forward the work of Swami Suta. Swami Maharaj told them that when the time would be right, he would assign this responsibility to the right person. Swami Maharaj already knew who the right person was and kept gesturing Kakubai, Swami Suta's mother, in code words, but nobody was able to understand it. Swami Suta had a younger brother named Dada, who was living in their ancestral village. Dada had a pale body and innocent mind. Kakubai used to worry about his lack of strength. So, after Swami Suta's death, he called him up to Akkalkot and sought blessings of Swami Maharaj for his better health. Swami Maharaj asked Kakubai to feed him 4 times throughout the day and not to worry about his health. When Kakubai followed Swami Maharaj's orders, Dada soon became physically strong. Indeed, there is nothing impossible with Swami Maharaj's grace. There was a devotee named Nana Sahib who lived in Kejgaon and had built a monastery to meditate upon Sri Swami Samartha Maharaj. He wanted to establish Swami Maharaj's holy paduka, holy footwear, in his monastery and came to Akkalkot to seek Swami Maharaj's permission. While he was in Akkalkot, he requested Kakubai to send Dada with him to Kejgaon for holy paduka consecration. Kakubai wasn't ready for this, as Dada was a minor. But Swami Maharaj ordered her to send Dada for this purpose. Later, Swami Maharaj also sent him to Mumbai and told Vishnu Bua Brahmachari to make him ascetic and give him Swami Suta's responsibilities of the monastery. Even after so many efforts of Vishnu Bua Brahmachari to convince Dada, he kept denying to run the monastery. When Dada was sent back to Akhil, Swami Maharaj asked his devotees to keep his padukas on Dada's head. The moment Swami Maharaj's paduka touched Dada's head, his ignorance and unwillingness just vanished. Dada instantly became wise and got the supreme knowledge, the Brahmanyan, and that is the knowledge of ultimate reality. Truly, Sadhguru's blessings are the greatest of all. Kakubai wasn't at all happy to see this change in Dada and started complaining. Swami Maharaj was annoyed at Kakubai and just ignored her. Next day, when Dada was sent by Swami Maharaj to seek alms, Kakubai felt bad. But Swami Maharaj was delighted to see that Dada had rightfully started to walk on the path of the Supreme. Swami Maharaj compassionately asked Dada to first seek alms from his mother Kakubai. Dada had now become an ascetic, the one who dedicates his or her life to the Lord Supreme, that is, Swami Maharaj. The lesson from the story is that Shree Swami Samartha Maharaj is the Guru who makes an ignorant person a wise one and sets him or her on the right path. Swami Maharaj, even being a Guru, loves his devotees just like a mother or father loves their kids. A Guru imparts knowledge, grants strength to his disciples, and makes them fearless, so that his legacy can be carried forward for the betterment of the world. Swami Maharaj blessed Swami Sutta and his younger brother Dada with supreme knowledge of the universe, and it was only as per his wish that they were both able to spread the message of the Lord's services to common people. Shree Swami Samartha. Shree Swami Samartha. Shree Swami Charitra Saramrut. Chapter 18. Prayer Sri Ganesha, who should be appointed? Here to Swami Sut. Devotees often put this question to Swami Raj. To them Samartha said thus, devotees are many as such, but none among them I find suitable. When it comes to my mind, I shall pick the peacock kind and name Hare to Sutta. You need not worry at all. O peacock one, Samartha said often. Sing grind day and night. Samartha ranted loudly. My brick of mercury do preserve carefully, often said Samartha. To Kakubai as such, the brick so hidden must now be given. Import of these words none got clearly. Swami Sutta's brother, who lived in Konkan, happened to learn about Swami Sutta's death. Brother underage boy, by name Dada, who was getting weaker due to health so poor. Kakubai got Dada to stay along with her, and one day as such brought him to Samartha. Samartha said to Bai thus, let him eat 4 times. He will be healthy in no time. Do not worry at all. Bai did accordingly. Soon Dada turned healthy. When Swami's grace does shower, how can disease not disappear? In village gauge of Mughal Ram, a devotee named Nana Sahib happened to build Swami monastery, spending a lot of money. To seek Swami Nod and install Swami patterns in monastery, he came to Akhil and took Swami Darshan. He said to Kakubai thus, to install holy patterns, please send Dada across along with some of us. Bai said Dada is minor, does not keep good health. Who will take care? Let me know for sure. After hearing the matter, Samartha said, send him there. Although he is minor, I will take care. Again to Kakubai said Samartha, what are you going to lose? I shall do only that, which pleases my mind a lot. With devotees at last, Dada was set off. After installing holy patterns in Gage, Dada came to Akhil. Later, along with devotees, Samartha sent him to Mumbai with an order for Brahmachari to appoint Dada's successor, make Dada ascetic, install him on holy seat. Sutta's robes, alms bags, flag now be given to Dada Bua. Brahmachari counseled Dada through day and night, please turn ascetic, take over holy seat. Though being underage, Dada disliked the idea. He simply refused to do any such thing. Brahmachari thus tried his best. At last from Mumbai sent Dada to Akhil. At the time Samartha ordered Bhujang thus, "Take my holy patens and place on Dada's head. Get peacock feathers fast and place on Dada's head." Devotees did exactly as Samartha ordered. As Swami patens touched head, Dada's consciousness surged ahead. Sun of wisdom filled heart. All ignorance evaporated. Great Guru importance, mere touch of holy patens, bestowed knowledge supreme. What to describe greatness? Seeing Dada's state, Kakubai was shocked, upset. Said Samartha has certainly turned Dada insane. Said, "O sage Samartha, how come you do this? On Child Dada's head, place patens for what sake?" Samartha said to her, "I shall do that what seems right to me. Stop talking nugatory." Kakubai said thus, "You turned one ascetic and allowed him to expire. That's enough for sure." Hearing these words, Samartha lost temper. Said, "Bhai, be caged in wooden box at once." Kakubai cried hoarse and created a scene, spoke many bad words, beating her own forehead. But at that time Samartha did not heed at all. Made Dada ascetic, offered robe and alms back. Next day Samartha to seek alms sent Dada. Seeing this happen, Kakubai grieved no end. Samartha could only smile for sure, applauded Dada even more, called Dada Bua near and gave this order. Ansuya, your mother. Now seek alms from her." "Sure," said Dada and reached near her. Seeing this happen, Kakubai was outraged even more. Said, "This act of yours will lead to accusations." Hearing mother's words, Dada said to her, "All worldly pleasures are now worthless, dear." Hearing son's words, Kakubai was saddened. Dada turned ascetic thus, losing self in Swami praise. After a few days, Dada came to Mumbai, took over Suta's seat, ran tradition neatly. Thus ends the 18th sweet chapter of this brief biography, Shree Swami Charitra Saramrut, that contains several short stories that affectionate devotees may listen attentively. May the auspicious always occur. Shree Swami Samartha. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Swami Samartha Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Gurudev Datta. Shri Trambakeshwar Maharaj Ki Jai. Ganga Godavari Mata Ki Jai. Sadguru Param Puja More Dadang Ki Jai. Shri Swami Samartha Guru Maulin Ki Jai. Bharat Mata Ki Jai. Shri Swami